On March 18th, 2020, in response to the public health situation both globally and in Ontario, regulatory amendments were made to Ontario Regulation 463/97 electronic meetings, enabling school boards to meet electronically during mandated school closures. This regulation was amended on November 15th, 2022 to include new regulations for school boards to develop and implement a policy providing for the use of electronic means for the holding of board meetings and meetings of a committee of a board. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the public EAC meeting. Thanks for being available to participate electronically. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome members of the public who are connected to the meeting today. EAC appreciates your interest in public education in the York Region. As per our current practice, members of the public can listen and or observe the proceedings. If you have questions, you are welcome to reach out to the board chair or your local trustee following the meeting. You can also contact Corporate Secretariat and Trustee Services for clarity on board practices. They can be reached at trustee.services@yrdsb.ca. Now, instructions have been provided to all participants to support electronic engagement. As the chair, I'll be managing the discussion as follows. Members will be invited by name to speak to any reports included in the agenda. All parliamentary actions, to the best of my ability, outlined in the YRDSB outline bylaw, will continue to be followed. I'll be identifying speakers using an electronic speakers list, although I may make a call at some point and just open the floor from time to time. To the trustees on the call, I believe I'm looking at Trustee Big Canoe. To ensure quorum is maintained for the duration of the meeting, we ask that you kindly announce your withdrawal before disconnecting from the meeting. I ask that all participants, thank you, sir. I ask all participants to be patient so that I can ensure that all individuals have an opportunity to speak. Now, if you have any feedback to improve participation, please connect with me or Corporate Secretariat and Trustee Services so we can ensure structure continues to meet trustee needs. I'm going to maybe open up Trustee Bickenu. Are there any questions before I proceed?
No questions on mine.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Wonderful. We're trying out a new system, folks, and we have to mute and unmute every so often. Thank you so much, Trustee. Okay. As is our tradition, we would like to begin all of our sessions with a land acknowledgement. Can I look to the participants on the call and ask, is there a volunteer that would like to read the land acknowledgement on behalf of the team?
Oh, I'm happy to read it if there's.
That would be lovely. Thank you very, very kindly, Michelle. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. We affirm that we are all treaty people and acknowledge that the York Region District School Board is located on the lands of 2 treaties. These treaties have been signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the First Nations of the Williams Treaties, who are the Mississaugas of Alderville, Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Scugog Island, and the Chippewas of Beausoleil, Rama, and Georgina Island, who is our closest neighbor and our partner in education. To honor this agreement, we will take up our responsibility to be respectful of their traditions, knowledge, and inherent rights as sovereign nations. We will respect their relationships with these lands and recognize that our connection to this land is through the continued relationship with these First Nations. And we acknowledge our shared responsibility to respect and care for the land and waters for future generations.
Thank you very, very kindly, Principal Godfrey. I'd like to now move over to the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as written? Are there any objections to the objection as it's written right now? Okay, if there aren't any changes or objections to the agenda, it's approved by common consent. Thank you very kindly. I'd like to now move to our declaration of conflict of interest. Specifically for the this is directed to the trustees. Trustee Bickenu, should you have a direct or personal interest or direct or indirect pecuniary interest in any matter being discussed during the meeting, kindly state your conflict and the nature thereof. Thanks, sir. We'll now move to the approval of the minutes. Our last meeting, it's been a while since we connected, was February 12th, 2026. Are there any changes to the minutes that we would like to make from our February 12th, 2026 EAC meeting? Looking over to our chat, if there's any messages there, you can also just shout out any changes should you have any. Okay, it seems like there are no changes to the minutes. If so, then the minutes are then approved again by common consent. All right, folks, we have a exciting agenda for you today. We're going to open with the riveting topic of budgets, and it's something that's been on many of our minds with a lot of changes and updates to enrollment. So to present our budget overview, our 26-27 over the budget overview, we have Karina Bosalide, Manager Budget and Reporting, and I'd like to turn it over to you, Karina, to kick us off.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good evening, everyone. In today's budget information session, I will outline the financial context informing the development of the York Region District School Board 2026-2027 budget. While previous sessions focused on budget terminology and foundational information, this year's presentation will center on the financial environment shaping the board's budget. Our planning is influenced by three key factors: ongoing declines in student enrollment, provincial funding that is predominantly enrollment-driven, and continuous growth in operational costs. Together, these conditions contribute to a more complex financial landscape and highlight the need for careful and informed decision-making. Next slide, please. This slide highlights how student enrollment in Ontario has shifted over time from a period of growth to a period of decline. York Region is experiencing a similar trend. There are several underlying factors contributing to this trend. First, we are seeing lower birth rates, which means smaller kindergarten cohorts are entering the school system each year. Second, changes to federal immigration policies have affected both overall immigration levels and international student numbers. Third, housing affordability continues to be a significant challenge, particularly in regions like York. Higher cost of living and slower housing development limit the number of families able to move in the area. Finally, we are seeing a demographic shift where larger cohorts are graduating out of the system, while the groups entering at the early grades are smaller. Next slide, please. We'll start with elementary enrollment trend. As shown, elementary enrollment gradually increased in the past decade, with some short-term fluctuation during the pandemic. Enrollment began to decline in 2024-25, and in 2025-26, enrollment is expected to go down to the level seen about 10 years ago in 2015-16 school year. Looking ahead, the projections for 26-27 through 28-29 indicate a continued downward trend in enrollment. These projections reflect demographic pressures and broader provincial trends rather than short-term or one-time factors. Next slide, please. Moving to secondary enrollment, we can see a different pattern with a steady growth over a number of years, peaking in 2024-25. This growth reflects earlier demographic momentum and enrollment patterns that were present in the recent past. However, beginning this school year, secondary enrollment is also projected to start declining. While this decline is expected to be more gradual than in elementary enrollment, projections indicate a downward trend over in the upcoming years. Next slide, please. Here we have the total enrollment trend, which combines the patterns previously shown across the elementary and secondary panels. After a period of growth to 24-25, enrollment is declining and is expected to continue downward. This means that we are serving fewer students than in previous years. From a financial perspective, this projected decline is significant. As enrollment levels directly influence funding allocations, many associated costs do not decrease proportionally. These trends are therefore an important consideration in both short-term budget decisions and also long-term financial planning. Next slide, please. This is an overview of how the board is funded and how closely funding is tied to the enrollment. About 97.2% of our funding comes from core education funding, which is provided by the province and is largely based on student enrollment. School boards have very limited ability to generate revenue locally. Other sources, such as international student fees, are also enrollment-based. Additional revenues, including interest income and program fees, such as adult ESL, make up only about 2.3% of our total operating revenue. A small portion of funding, about 0.5%, is provided through the responsive education programs. These are supplemental targeted grants provided by the Ministry of Education to support specific time-limited priorities and initiatives, and they are annual. As a result, changes in student numbers have a significant and immediate impact on our finance position and underscore the importance of enrollment trends in our budget planning. Next slide, please. Here are highlighted several of the key challenges and cost pressures that are influencing the board's financial position and budget planning. First, inflationary pressures continue to affect a wide range of operating costs, including supplies, services, utilities, and day-to-day school operations. Second, sick leave and WSIB costs continue to present budget pressures. These costs can fluctuate year over year and are influenced by factors such as staffing levels, absenteeism trends, and legislative requirements. Special education needs also continue to increase. Providing appropriate supports and services for students with special education needs remains a priority to our board, but it places additional pressure on staffing and program resources that are not always fully offset by funding. At the same time, mandatory increase in employer CPP contribution represent a structural cost increase. Finally, broader economic uncertainty creates challenges for financial forecasting and long-term planning. Factors such as interest rates, labor market conditions, and provincial or federal policy changes can all have downstream financial impact. These expenses are largely non-discretionary. They are required costs that must be managed within the existing funding framework. Next slide, please. This slide shows how the board's 25-26 operating budget of approximately 1.8 billion is allocated. The most significant portion of the budget, about 89.3%, is dedicated to staffing costs. This reflects the labor-intensive nature of public education, with the majority of funding supporting all board employees. The remaining 10.7% represents non-staffing costs, which include items such as supplies, services, utilities, transportation, and facility-related expenses. Overall, this breakdown highlights that staffing costs dominate the operating budget, which limits flexibility when enrollment-driven funding declines, while many costs remain fixed. Next slide, please. It is a more detailed breakdown where the board's 25-26 operating budget is spent. As noted earlier, staffing costs make up to most of the budget, accounting for 89.3% of total expenditure. Of this amount, 87% supports schools and are classroom-based staff costing, including teachers, DCE, educational assistants, principals and vice principals, school office staff, and caretaking staff. A further 2.3% is dedicated to system support staff who provide centralized and operational support across the board, such as director's office, trustee, finance, human resources, information technology, payroll, and other central services. The remaining 10.7% of the budget relates to non-staffing costs. This includes instructional expenses at 3.5%, such as classroom supplies, technology, and other student learning resources. Transportation at 3.1%, which includes busing the students. Pupil accommodation at 3.7%, including maintenance and school operations costs, and other administrative expenses at 0.5% for legal fees, audit costs, and office supplies. Next slide, please. This slide summarizes the financial context in which the board is currently operating. Student enrollment continues to decline, and because provincial funding is largely driven by enrollment, this results in reduced funding for the board. At the same time, costs continue to rise. This combination significantly limits budget flexibility and contributes to more complex budget decisions. This requires a balanced and deliberate approach to ensure financial sustainability while meeting student needs. Next slide, please. When developing the budget, the board must consider multiple factors to ensure that funding is allocated responsibly and effectively. Student enrollment is a foundational driver as it directly impacts funding levels and program needs. Closely related to this are class size requirements, which influence staffing levels and resource allocations. Collective agreements are another key factor. They establish staffing ratios, compensation structures, and working conditions, all of which impact how resources are allocated and the overall cost of delivering education. In addition, funding restrictions set by the province limit how certain revenues can be used, which affects flexibility in budget planning. Beyond these system-wide considerations, local priorities and specific needs are taken into account to ensure schools and communities are appropriately supported. Public consultation and board strategic priorities, as outlined in the multi-year strategic plan, further inform decision-making to ensure alignment with community values and long-term goals. Together, these factors shape a balanced and informed approach to budget development. Next slide, please. As we continue developing the 2026-27 budget, community input remains a critical part of the process. To support accessibility and inclusion, the budget survey was offered in multiple languages. The survey closed on April 17, and we are currently awaiting the results, which are being compiled by our research department. Early findings of this survey shows an increase in participation by 48% this year. The feedback received will help us better understand community perspectives and priorities, particularly as we consider the choices and trade-offs that may be required as part of the budget development process. Next slide, please. To support transparency, here are the key milestones in the budget development process. The budget survey was open from March 24 to April 17, and a public budget consultation was held on April 13. The 25-26 second quarter financial report will be presented on April 28, at which time we also expect core education funding information to be released. Advisory committee feedback and a summary of public consultation results will be shared in May with the Finance and Property Committee. A draft budget will be presented in early June, incorporating the feedback received, and the final budget is expected to be approved in mid-June. We will continue to communicate updates as the process moves forward. Next slide, please. This concludes the budget information presentation. As outlined, the 26-27 budget is being developed within a changing financial environment. Our objective is to balance fiscal responsibility with our ongoing commitment to student success and well-being. Throughout this process, we remain focused on limiting impacts to schools and classrooms while operating within the parameters of the provincial funding framework. I would now be happy to respond to any questions you may have.
What questions would you have? Should you have a question, if you can kindly place your name in the chat. Karina, thank you very kindly. It was an excellent presentation, super informative. While we're waiting for these are always really know while we're waiting for folks to respond, I certainly have questions of my own. I know we talked a lot about operational expenses, and there's opportunities for reducing those. So related to the operational expenses in particular, one of the things that you mentioned was we're noticing that their sick days and absenteeism is up, and that's coming as a cost. I know that there's been a recent focus on attendance management programs in the board. Have those served to support and help this, or are we still, or did they not have any impact on absenteeism? I know there's that. We've increased supply pools and a bunch of things over the past little while in terms of trying to mitigate some of the challenges with absenteeism. So wanted to maybe seek to understand whether that's working, or are we still getting higher and higher from an absenteeism perspective?
Thank you for the question. Our board has many systems in place to work and towards this big problem that is the absenteeism. This one, it's a board-wide problem. It's not YRDSB specific problem. Again, HR has also tools in place. The ministry is providing with some tools as well. And we see some improvement. And we have to work towards much better results and continue to be aware of and very, very responsible about this situation.
Thank you very kindly. And yeah, so what I'm hearing is it is working. We're not quite there yet, but some of the measures that we're taking are working to help curb absenteeism. So that's a positive thing. That's great to hear. You made reference to some of the CapEx expenses as well. So for example, things like our our school buildings, and I saw some of the projections that we have, and there's significant declines in terms of enrollment over the course of the next several years. Given that, and also given the projections for CapEx expenses like school builds and things of the sort, do we have a sense of where they are slated to be built and where enrollment is today and where those projections are? And is there an opportunity to maybe reconsider some of those capital expense projects, considering the projected the budget downfall in favor of some of our core mandates, with programs and operational expenses to help support numeracy and literacy education?
Thank you for the question. It's a very interesting question. I would like to mention that what I was talking about in my presentation was the operating budget, wasn't the capital budget.
Okay.
The expenses I was referring to when I was talking about the school operation expenses are operating expenses to operate buildings like heating the schools and the buildings. The enrollment is really tight with the grant that we receive, but also the capital budget, it's another part of our budget that it's separately funded by the ministry and separately like it's not part of the operating. That means we have to separate those two components. Yes, we get funding differently from the ministry for the operational needs, where we have like operating the schools, we have staffing cost for the teachers and all the employee of the boards, and another funding when we open a school. Opening a school, it's another process I'm not very familiar with, but we need ministry approval. And there are some certain factors that the ministry will take into consideration when a board will ask to open a new school.
I appreciate that, and I
yes, and also capital cannot be used for operating, and ministry approval is it's required in this situation. We do have budgets for renewal projects, such as building components, boilers, and we make sure that we are investing in buildings. We are operating schools and continue to be operating schools in the foreseeable future.
Okay, well, I appreciate the clarification there. I'm just exploring the art of the possible in terms of where we can find some of this funding, especially looking at those projections. It seems like numbers are going down, and I'm wondering if it makes sense to be investing those CapEx dollars in that space when we have opportunities to maybe focus the funding elsewhere. But I leave that to our wonderful trustees to solve and negotiate with the province.
Yeah, for sure. We really appreciate the idea and the feedback in here.
Thank you very, very kindly. What other questions might we have for Karina on the budget? Okay. Karina, thank you very, very kindly for an informative presentation. I'll continue to bug you with my questions. I always value hearing about these things. So thank you very, very kindly.
Thank you for having me and for the kind words. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. For our EAC team members, I know that we had an opportunity to to weigh in and through the public budget consultation. In addition to the public budget consultation, our EAC committee will be receiving a link to complete a Google document specifically for our team to weigh into our insights on the budget from an EAC lens, and the team will then meet to consolidate some of that feedback and share those as a part of the formal budget consultation process. So I expect to receive that link tomorrow, I believe. So that email link will be emailed tomorrow so that we can go through and provide our own insights as a team on the budget. All right, team. Another excellent presentation coming up right now, and with us we have a couple of individuals. Jillian Gibbons, Superintendent of Education for Curriculum and Instructional Services and Continuing Education. That's a mouthful, Jillian. And Janani Petty, Principal Curriculum and Instructional Services. And Janani, I'm going to turn it over to you to. Oh, we just lost your presentation, but it should be coming back momentarily. We'll turn it over to you as the presentation comes back up, so that you can walk us through the exciting world of student success.
Thank you for inviting me today to present at EAC. This group holds a special place in my heart because I'm really committed to the work of equity and inclusivity, having served on ESEC and also being a former secondary principal rep on EAC. So thank you so much. I'm here just to share with you a little bit around how we centrally support the work of student success through
And Shannon, I think you may have accidentally hit the space bar or got on mute. If you can kindly unmute yourself. Wonderful.
Thank you. So we operate from key beliefs around students. Really want to emphasize that all students can be successful. Success comes in many forms, and that there are many pathways to success. And these guiding beliefs really weave through all of the offerings we have for the system. And central to our beliefs around student success is our core mission, which is to really help students to discover their strengths, their aspirations, their needs, to think about how they might align their strengths and aspirations with opportunities for the future, to really backward map where they'd like to go and how they might choose to get there, and thinking about who do I want to become. And so I'm going to just share some experiential learning opportunities that we have provided for students across the system in support of helping them to answer these questions. So guiding all of the work, especially around secondary students, is the fact that students have required courses for the Ontario Secondary School Diploma. And we always try to encourage students and families to think of it not as a checklist that I need to get my diploma, but more so as how might I leverage my compulsory and optional credits in order for me to explore as many subjects as possible in order to figure out where I want to be and who I might want to become. One other piece that has become very relevant to all of us in a fast-moving world and an ever-changing world is rethinking the linear pathway. At some point, we might ourselves or have family members or know friends that had a very linear pathway. They finished high school, they went to a post-secondary institution, they finished that program, they got a job, and they retired. Very sequential. However, when we look at the Future of Jobs report, we can see that there are a lot of changes that are affecting the global labor market. And these could be technological changes, green transitions, the geoeconomic fragmentation. There are so many ways in which our labor market is shifting. And so when we keep that in mind, what does this mean for our students? Well, just 4 years by 2030 itself, we can see that 39% of workers' core skills will need to change. And when we think about skills and how important they are, this is currently what the OECD is saying that students will need to have in order to be able to compete in a global market. But what gives us reassurance is when we look at these skills, they're really aligned with the Ministry of Education's commitment to supporting transferable skills. And so this is why the future of the students that are currently in our wired ASB schools may look like this. It may look like they're completing high school, perhaps getting some work experience, perhaps going to post-secondary, but more so, we really want to make sure that they have a repertoire or a toolkit of various skills that would allow them to move smoothly between opportunities so that they can take on the future with confidence, recognizing that they have many, many skills to offer. And so through the York Region District School Board, we are committed to supporting our students in developing these critical transferable skills, because we know these skills are certainly important in all subject areas, and they will also be very important in terms of supporting students in the future. And so we come back to what are the opportunities to help students to determine who do they want to become and what their plan might be to achieve their future goals. So when we think about who am I, we're really thinking about, looking at the student holistically, their cognitive, emotional, spiritual, and physical dimensions, and helping them to be really well-rounded. We have a tool that's accessible to all York Region District School Board students, and their parents can also access it by sitting down with their student to see all of the different options that are available in My Pathway Planner. The tool from My Pathway Planner that York Region uses is My Blueprint. Families can sit with their children to determine what type of high school plan they might want to take a look at. So they might choose particular courses to see where those courses might lead them. There are surveys that students can take online in order to learn more about themselves, their interests, and how they might be aligned with career possibilities. There are ways in which students can have set goals for themselves and track progress. And it's also a tool that helps students to put together evidence of learning and accomplishments through a portfolio that they might choose to use when they consider their post-secondary options. So when we look at the opportunities that students have, I just wanted to share a few that are available in all of our York Region District School Board secondary schools. And I will get into these in detail. So we'll be talking about cooperative education, experiential learning, the York Region Skills Challenge, SHSM, the OYEP program, as well as dual credit. So through our experiential learning program, we have a partnership with Boreal Farms in November. It was amazing that students got to go down to the farm to learn about agri-tech and the way in which technology is really helping to support the advancement of the agriculture industry. Students learned about how technology is helping to determine soil quality and soil acidity. There are technologies helping farmers to know how much to water their plants. There is so much that is taking place, and through the pictures that you see, you can also see right here at the top corner that they have now made robotic tractors that can very specifically help to farmers in accomplishing their tasks. So we were very excited to pilot this in the fall. The response from the schools was tremendous, and so in about 2 weeks we will be going out again with a different set of schools to try and expand this opportunity to as many as possible. We also try to help students to learn about various opportunities, and Dreamer Day is a day that is it is offered centrally through the ministry, and so Dreamer Day was an opportunity for girls in grades 9 to 11 to have the chance to engage in a variety of workshops, go to some different learning stations, and to really think about careers that were once traditionally dominated by males. And so, again, amazing feedback from our students who attended. And this is one that we continue to offer each year to schools to send students to this one-day event. Level Up is another opportunity for students that are interested in the skilled trade that happens each year. It happens both in Durham as well as in Toronto. And what we do as a Pathways team is we support schools in sending students and teachers to this event by covering their transportation costs as well as the cost of a supply teacher in order for their teacher to be able to accompany the students. Again, there are many hands-on stations that students can really tinker and try in order to determine if a particular skill trade might pique their interest. And so another experiential learning opportunity that we have is elementary robotics. From I think September to February, all schools that are involved in it, it can be quite intense as they start to prepare for such an incredible opportunity. This year, the theme was ocean floor. And I have to do a shout out to Trustee Butterworth, who has been an amazing supporter of the elementary robotics competitions. She has supported us as a judge at both the area as well as the regional, along with many parent volunteers, community members, and staff. Students, this is like engagement in action. Students are so wonderful in terms of the way in which they collaborate, the way in which they problem solve, and really think critically about how to use technology to solve a problem. And so students can advance from the area elementary robotics competitions to the York Region Skills Challenge. And this is something we host once a year. The York Region Skills Challenge is open to both elementary students and secondary students. On the slide before you, you can see a variety of competitions that are available for students to engage in. And so it really meets the interests of different students. Students might be interested in character animation or coding, but perhaps they're also interested in construction, transportation, culinary, job interview skills, etc. So there's something for everyone, and we love seeing our students come out to participate in these challenges. At the elementary level, these are typically the competitions that are taking place at the York Region Skills Challenge. And each year, the Pathways team does outreach to schools that haven't participated in the past to try to provide support to prepare teachers in order for them to make this opportunity available for their classes. And so it really is a way in which students can develop their transferable skills as well as their skills of communication and collaboration. The Experiential Arts Mentorship Program is another way in which students in the arts can just go deeper. This is a very unique transitions opportunity where an elementary school and a secondary school are partnered together in terms of learning more about the arts, but also in terms of what student leadership looks like. So our secondary students get mentored by students from York University, and then our secondary students are able to come and support our elementary students, either in creating drama performances or in terms of doing digital art. We just had the showcase earlier this week, and the pictures that you see on the slide are some of the examples of work that was on display. At this particular experiential arts mentorship program, we had about 500 students attend this past Tuesday, and I'll just share a mini non-professional video that's just to show you what that day was like. So in that example, you would have seen students both performing on stage, but you would have also seen stop motion animation taking also being shared. And so we celebrated both dramatic art as well as digital art at the same time. We also have, through the Ministry of Education, funding to support students through our entrepreneurship education program. So this is really to support students in thinking about entrepreneurship, thinking about starting a small business, and we receive funding from the ministry to help students to have a seed funding. Students are coached in terms of what a pitch would look like. They are coached in terms of how they might consider running a small business. And at the end, there is an entrepreneurship showcase that took place last week where students can either have a booth and pitch their ideas to the audience, or they can come up on stage, similar to a Dragon's Den setup in order to practice pitches to a panel of judges. So because the Exploring Entrepreneurship program is in its third year and doing very well, we have a lot of students involved, just under 2,000, 1,821 students, and many secondary schools and elementary schools. And so just confidence that students have in terms of networking, to share their ideas, to share their logic. We were really pleased to have a variety of community partners come out to the event to support students and to let them know about summer funding should they wish to continue their business into the summer. So very an incredible opportunity for students. I wish I had this when I was going to school, and it really helped students at a young age to think about whether entrepreneurship is something that they'd like to consider. For students that are not sure about what they would like to do, cooperative education is a program that would really help students to gain skills for life and skills for the workplace. It is available for students in grades 11 and 12. And in any pathway, whether it's a workplace, apprenticeship, college, or university program. And students are gaining credits while they're gaining on-the-job experience. So this is something we certainly encourage students to explore. We have centralized placements. These are like highly sought after co-op placements. And so through our central team, we vet applications and support the local hospitals in York Region, as well as key partners in the skilled trades. And for hospitality, we have amazing partnerships with a variety of establishments to support students in exploring the world of hospitality. The Specialist High Skills Major Program is another way in which we can support student success. Certainly, students can feel proud once they complete that program that they are walking away with valuable industry certifications. They have incredible sector partner experiences, and they get involved in innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship events. Currently, all of our 33 secondary schools offer SHSM programs. The ones before you are the ones that are offered through our different schools. And we're very happy that we have a great enrollment in SHSM across YRDSB. For a student to enroll in SHSM, there are specific credits that they need to take. Certainly, they would need to take certifications connected to that. And I'll give you an example. It could be customer service training. It could be first aid CPR. It could be learning a new technique in an art form. So a range of wonderful experiences that students can have by enrolling in SHSM above and beyond what they would get in their regular classroom experience. Many of the students go to participate in post-secondary visits, and I'll share with you, here's an example of a sector partner engagement activity. Both in November and April, York Region District School Board partnered with Inspire Tech and Canon, and they brought together various individuals involved in aerospace. I mean, when you think about how timely it is in terms of what we've just witnessed as a global community in terms of having even a Canadian go that close to the moon, we look students who came here had a chance to talk to a variety of individuals employed in aerospace. They got to put on virtual reality kits that helped them to see themselves near the Canada Arm and explore space. Very unique opportunity made available to our SHSM students. There are also SHSM partnerships with the local hospitals and to support the party program. Students get to learn a lot about the human anatomy as well as emergency services. We're very excited with our partnership with the York University School of Health. Students get to learn a lot about the health and wellness field. This year, we added a section where teachers would go ahead of time, learn about all the experiences available in health and wellness. And then next week, we are taking all of our Wired ASB students who are interested in this for this learning experience. The Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program is a program for students who are interested in the skilled trades. And to support students who are interested in the skilled trades, we sort of help students to understand that they're going to get credits towards graduation, and they can get trade-specific skills as well as the subject knowledge in order to become a registered training, in order to get registered training agreement signed. Accelerated OYAP allows students to take co-op for a full semester and to really move through that apprenticeship program in a way where at the end they get their level 1 in-school training with a training delivery agent. Support families in learning more about this, as well as students. In the fall, we had an accelerated OYAP information night, virtually similar to today, and we had great attendance with over 200 attendees. And then closer to the winter in December, we had an in-person information night where students could listen to panel guests, many people in the variety of skilled trades, in order to learn more about this to determine if the skilled trades was an area students might consider post-secondary. For all of our OYAP students that are in any industry that needs working at heights training, we provide this throughout semester 1 and throughout semester 2, and all of these certifications and training are provided free of charge for our Wired ESB students. If a student is interested in the college pathway, we have a great program called Dual Credit. Students can earn both a high school credit and a college credit at the same time. Tuition is provided, transportation if needed is provided, as well as all of the tools, the PPE, personal protective equipment, as well as textbooks. And when you look at the variety of courses that are available, it's from beauty and glamour to advertising, baking, culinary, principles of psychology, criminal justice. There is something for various interests, and it's just amazing that students can get a college credit while they're in high school. So that's something good to know. We also have a very specific program, the regional program called the Exploring Opportunities Program, where students can have a very focused full day experience in manufacturing, construction, transportation, green industries, or entrepreneurship. And just to go back to entrepreneurship, it runs out of Markville Secondary School, and Trustee Law has been an incredible support of the entrepreneurship program. He was a dragon at last week's entrepreneurship showcase, and we love having additional community partners support all of these programs. So we think about, here are all these programs that can support students in exploring their interests and to think about the future. And so how might they think about, creating a plan? So we have so many different incredible adults in the building that can help a student to determine. It might be their guidance counselor, it might be their special education resource teacher, it could be EAs, subject teachers, our student success teachers, perhaps the ESL teachers. There's incredible support to help students to determine how they might access My Blueprint, to do the surveys, how they might apply for these programs. And so we just encourage students to ask and to gather the information at school. When students are thinking about post-secondary programs, we invite students to think about these early. Here are 3 popular sites, whether it's for the skilled trades, colleges, or universities, where students can go ahead of time, look at programs of choice, and then think about backwards mapping it to consider what courses do I need to take in grade 11 and 12 in order to be able to access these programs when I graduate from high school. We as a central team pay a registration fee for all of our secondary schools to have access to a scholarship report. This is a very detailed report that students and parents can access in order to determine which institutions offer particular scholarships and grants. We encourage students to think about this as early as their grade 10 or grade 11 year, because then they can start formulating their applications. They can think about what experiences might help for a rich and a robust application. And certainly guidance counselors have access to this. And if the student needs the password for this, we just ask them to go to their guidance counselor. Because it is a paid membership, we don't post the password publicly online, but it is easily accessible through every single guidance counselor. There are many mentorship opportunities through various institutions. The summer mentorship program at University of Toronto is one such program. And when we think about all the possible opportunities that are available, I'd like to just bring everyone's attention to the Experience Secondary School page on the York Region District School Board website. It has links to support students in exploring various sectors to start thinking about what they might consider doing when they leave our secondary schools. So that's it for my presentation in terms of sharing the different programs to support the Region District School Board. I'm happy to take any questions if there's time.
Thank you so much, Janetti. Again, if you have questions, if you can kindly place your name in the chat, and we'll open up the floor for questions. And while we're waiting for questions, maybe I have a question. So thank you very much, first off, for such an informative presentation. My daughter's graduating high school this year, and she was in the SHISM program and participated in co-op. And my little guy's exploring some of these options. So I'm a living proof that a lot of these things really work well and they really help. So it's wonderful to see. It's wonderful to see. My question for you, Jenny, is really around metrics. So those of you know me, I ask a lot of questions around metrics, and I want to know: do we have metrics that show enrollment of the respective student success initiatives, the results from those, and particularly as they tie to greater post-secondary success? And then more specifically, maybe this is a bit of a part B. Does this data track demographics? And in particular, I'm interested in things like enrollment and success of our vulnerable populations, or areas of focus in the wider DSB, as part of our DABR strategy, or system actions that are supporting our, human rights and inclusive education and our DAP. So do we have data that can actually say, listen, we have these wonderful initiatives. We have this multi-year strategic action plan. We have our DAP that's supporting these many of these communities, and these efforts are resulting in impact. That's it.
So thank you for the question. We certainly have, for all of our experiences that students participate in, we certainly have their anecdotal qualitative data, because students are asked for their feedback. What was that experience like? How would they consider pursuing this particular opportunity? We also ask students to think about, if they could redesign a particular learning experience, what would they like to see? Teachers are also asked about how that particular learning opportunity has translated to curriculum connections in a school, because we don't want these to be one-offs, but we really want it to be enhancing the learning that's happening in the class. And so we certainly get staff input and feedback as well as students. And I think when we have our graduates, I spoke about some of the information nights that we have in the evenings. When we have graduates that we invite to come back and they sort of speak to, when I had this experience, I had no idea that I wanted to be X, but because I had this experience, it piqued my curiosity, and now I'm in that field. Certainly all of our grads that come back to share, where they landed is supported too. If there's other pieces of data that you might be looking for, I might turn it over to a coordinating superintendent, Lois, or if Urhan on the call as well, because through that department, they might have a bit more information.
Me again, Lois.
Thank you for that. And at current time, I don't have, but I'm happy to take that away. And because it is a bit specific, happy to take it away and get that information at a later time.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I mean, because this stuff is amazing. I'm proof that it's working. I'm seeing evidence of it, but I'd really love to see how it's impacting some of the key strategies that we're focused on the board. And I'm convinced it is. I just want to be able to see if we can market that data. So that'll be great. Thanks, Lois. And thank you again, Janani. I'm not seeing any additional questions at this time, but once again, thank you very, very kindly for an amazing presentation. Before we jump over to the staff report with Principal Michelle Godfrey, I want to just make a quick shout out around policy updates. Please take an opportunity to review policies up for review. There are policies right now up for review, in particular around facility partnerships. There's policies around First Nation, Métis, and Inuit education. So kindly have a look at those. There are dates attached to those, but those two that I referenced right now are coming up for response is by the end of May and end of June. So please do certainly have a look at those policies and weigh in. And should you like to weigh in with the EAC committee, we get together regularly, an hour before our meetings or a couple hours before our meetings to discuss these things. When those of us that are able to attend are able to attend, I say that because I was a little late today attending the meeting, but we would really would love to have your voices. And I'm looking to our community members, and I'm looking to our community partners. We need your voices and we need your insights at this table more than anything. I'm going to share just a few highlights of some elements that we did share over the past couple of meetings. So we did have we reviewed a couple of meetings, a couple of different policies, or a few different policies that made some recommendations. One of those was around electronic participation in board advisory and board committee meetings. And when we looked at the policy, we found that there was an opportunity to clearly define what it meant to be physically present, because there was reference to physical presence in this meeting. So we're looking for those elements to be clearly articulated. We've been meeting virtually, but there's an opportunity to meet physically. What does that mean? Does that mean coming physically into a site? Can physical presence mean meeting virtually? So we're looking for clarification on those pieces, as well as what it means to have hybrid participation, and does it actually satisfy that requirement? So we also wanted to look at that the current practices across the board and ensuring that there was consistency in application for all of those governance practices. So those are some of the recommendations that we did make as a team together. Oh, there we go. Look at this. We also talked about severe weather, and one of the things that we some of the recommendations we made around severe weather were we wanted a rationale, a statement clearly articulating, who's the decision-making authority. We wanted clarity around cross-departmental coordination responsibilities and communication responsibilities. We have a communication policy that's very, very, very robust. What are some of those responsibilities as they relate to some of those severe weather guidelines? And for those of us that are noticing, we're seeing more and more of those instances coming up. So really want to get some clarity in that space. On the communications front, we recommended a few things. We said we wanted a little bit more clarity around whether additional procedures that are are required to actually accompany the policy, because sometimes we find that the policy is either really robust or very thin, or the procedures are either non-existent or very lean. So we really want to see, do we have to have additional procedures to actually augment this policy? And we asked a question around scope. So do we need to, explicitly define the scope? For example, whether it applies to our advisory meetings or subcommittee meetings. Where do these guidelines start? Is it just for staff? Is it for some of these community meetings? Where does that actually start and where does it end? And we also asked for operational language that moves the policy from something that's more aspirational to more realistic and implementable. So those are some of the things that our committee came together with. If this sounds like interesting to you, shameless plug again, come join our policy committee. We would love to have you, and we absolutely need your voice. And before I then, thank you very much. Look at this list right now. So these are policies up for review and feedback. Whoever put the slide together, love you, because I'm putting making reference to these all the time. These are directly from our WireDSB website. These policies are up for review and comment, and they are available. So simply go to the site, click on the link, and if you'd like something to help you formulate those thoughts, Principal Michelle Godfrey can even give you a tool to help capture those thoughts and put them in a really, it's easy to follow manner, so that we can collectively take your ideas to the wonderful policymakers. Okay, enough of shameless plug time. Thank you very kindly. But I would like to turn it over to our community partners. I know we have some community partners on the line. What updates might you have for us about some of the work that you're doing in your respective communities? Are there any updates or announcements from our community partners? And community partners, if I'm putting you on the spot right now, if it's helpful, I can send reminders before our meetings or for ideas or suggestions that you may wish to bring forward going forward. We would love your ideas, insights, and any way that you can help inform this committee. So thank you very kindly. And now I will. We're going to flip back to that slide. I'm gonna turn it over to our esteemed Principal Michelle Godfrey to highlight elements from the staff report. Over to you, Michelle.
Great, thank you, Chair Raman. So since our last meeting, the Families of Black Students monthly information sessions have continued to provide ongoing support and connection for families, parents, and caregivers. At our March session, participants had the opportunity to learn about a range of summer programming available to students and families, both within WireDSB and across the broader community. Presentations from NACA, MACA, and WIRAC highlighted community-based opportunities and were accompanied by an overview of WireDSB offerings, such as Camp Black Brilliance for our youngest learners and Y2 Legacy for students entering or currently in high school. Together, these programs reflect a strong network of support designed to engage, empower, and uplift students throughout the summer months. At the April 20th session, families learned about WireDSB literacy and numeracy programs, with a focus on the key skills that students are developing through everyday classroom learning. The presentation also shared practical strategies families can use at home to support these foundational skills. EQAO assessments were discussed within this context as well, highlighting how students are prepared at school and how the same literacy and numeracy skills can be reinforced at home. The session concluded with information about upcoming programs and events, helping families stay informed and connected in supporting their child's ongoing success. Throughout the month of March, the Alliance of Educators for Muslim Students, or AIMS, hosted a series of iftar dinners across the region, bringing together Muslim educators, community leaders, and board staff to break the fast during Ramadan. These shared gatherings provided meaningful opportunities for connection, reflection, and community building. These events created welcoming spaces for participants to come together, learn, and share this important tradition, reflecting WireDSB's ongoing commitment to honoring diverse identities and fostering inclusive, community-connected environments. And also, from ISCS, in partnership with the Iranian Afghan Educator Alliance and the OPC Persian Iranian Administrators Infinity Group, hosted Persian Heritage Month celebrations on March 24th at the Education Support Center in Aurora and on March 30th at Meadowbrook Public School in Newmarket. These community-focused events honored the rich history, culture, and contributions of the Persian community. Students, families, staff, and community members came together for engaging evenings featuring cultural activities, student performances, and opportunities for connection. Students also played an active role by showcasing their talents and contributing as volunteers, supporting both student voice and community engagement. And you can see a lot of the pictures on the screen right now from these events. So also, as part of YRDSB's ongoing commitment to fostering inclusive, identity-affirming environments, a Trans Day of Visibility celebration was held on March 31st at the York University Markham campus. This community-focused event brought together 2SL LGBTQIA+ students, staff, families, and allies for an evening centered on visibility, belonging, and connection. Participants engaged in a range of activities designed to support self-expression and community building, and these included creative art stations, a clothing swap offering access to affirming attire, and opportunities to explore York University's makerspace, a gaming lounge, and media spaces. The evening also provided access to community organizations supporting queer and trans youth and their families, alongside opportunities for informal connection and shared learning. This created a welcoming and affirming space for participants to celebrate identity, build relationships, and experience a strong sense of community, reflecting YRDSB's continued commitment to supporting the well-being and inclusion of 2S LGBTQIA+ students and families. And as part of YRDSB's ongoing commitment to fostering culturally responsive and identity-affirming learning environments, the Network of Educators for Korean Canadian Students hosted the Building Connections Student Leadership Initiative on April 16th at Thornhill Secondary School. So this student-centered initiative brought together Korean Canadian students in grades 8 through 11 from across the system to build relationships, explore their cultural identities, and develop leadership skills. The session created meaningful opportunities for students to connect with peers from different schools, to deepen their understanding of Korean heritage and belonging, and to engage in collaborative learning experiences. Through a focus on student voice, community connection, and leadership development, this initiative supported participants in strengthening their capacity to contribute to future student-led opportunities and to foster inclusive, culturally responsive spaces within their schools and communities. And in April, in partnership with the Sikh Educators Voice Alliance, actually, I think it was this evening, they were hosting the Sikh Heritage Month celebration at Emily Carr. And I think, Lois, you had a chance to visit that as well. So the event honors the contributions of the Sikh community in Canada while highlighting Sikh culture, history, and identity. Students, family, staff, and community members are coming together for an engaging evening featuring educational displays, music, and opportunities for connection. Students also contributing through performances, activity booths, and volunteer roles, supporting student voice and community engagement. And once again, this event creates a welcoming space to celebrate and uplift Sikh identities, reflecting YRDSB's ongoing commitment to equity and to inclusive learning environments. Go on to the next slide. So significant faith days and days of recognition and celebration. So throughout YRDSB, schools and workplaces, seems to be out of order, but I'll just continue. Students and staff celebrate and recognize the diverse faith celebrations that have occurred in March and April. These included, amongst others, Ramadan, Purim, Holi, Eid al-Fitr, Nowruz, Passover, Good Friday, Holy Friday, Vaisakhi, and Ridvan. As well, YRDSB schools and workplaces, students and staff celebrate and recognize significant days of awareness that occurred. These include International Women's Day, International Transgender Day of Visibility, and International Day of Pink. These observances provide an opportunity to honor and recognize the diverse histories, traditions, and contributions of various cultural groups, enriching students and staff's understanding of their community and the broader world. By integrating the learning into the curriculum, schools promote awareness, encourage empathy, and celebrate the unique identities of all students. Celebrating Heritage and History Months in education is also important for fostering an inclusive and respectful learning environment in our schools, classrooms, and communities. Throughout YRDSB schools and workplaces, these observances provide an opportunity to honor and recognize the diverse histories, traditions, and contributions of various cultural groups, enriching students, staff's, and families' understanding of their community and the broader world. Throughout the months of March and April, the following Heritage or History Months were celebrated or being celebrated currently in our schools: Bangladeshi Heritage Month, Hellenic Heritage Month, Irish Heritage Day, Persian Heritage Month, and Sikh Heritage Month. In YRDSB, where diversity is one of our greatest strengths, recognizing, celebrating, and incorporating cultural heritage and history months in schools is an essential step towards promoting equity, combating discrimination and racism, and creating and centering humanity and fostering a sense of belonging for everyone. And now back to you.
Thank you very, very kindly for a detailed report, Principal Godfrey. And now I'll turn it over to Trustee Big Canoe to walk us through the board report. Over to you, sir.
Evening all. Thank you. Let's go my screen here 1 second. Sorry. You guys may hear a teething baby. I apologize. But the report from the board. Thursday, April 23rd, 2026. At the March 24th, 2026 Learning, Equity, and Wellbeing Standing Committee meeting, trustees received a Dismantling Anti-Black Racism Strategy information report. The report focused on implementation. Updates on the strategy includes information about the delivery of targeted student-focused initiatives to improve credit accumulation, graduation outcomes, and well-being supports for Black students. The report also highlights some meaningful family and community engagement initiatives and professional learning opportunities for staff. Trustees also received a Mathematics Achievement Action Plan Progress Update Information Report. The report shares progress as part of reporting responsibilities and provides information that will be used in the progress report to the Ministry of Education with a focus on progress of classroom, school, and board areas of focus for priority schools, system-wide targeted interventions, building content knowledge, digital tools and online resources to support educators, and priority school supports. At the April 7th, 2026 board meeting, trustees received a director's information report. The report focused on information including interdepartmental collaboration by staff from curriculum and instructional services, inclusive school and community services, and student services to better support school-based staff through shared professional learning focused on knowing the learner, strengthening advocacy, and building strong partnerships with families and caregivers. Elementary and secondary summer learning programs, World Autism Month celebrations and educator resources, the YRDSB 2026-2027 public budget consultation process, and National Volunteer Month in April. Thank you.
Thank you very, very kindly for the detailed update, and thank you to yourself and all the trustees who took time to be on our call. Thank you, Carolyn Butterworth. Thank you, Ed Law, and thanks for taking your time, because we know that you have a lot of places to be this evening, and we appreciate you prioritizing EAC. So thanks very much for being here. I'm going to move to German in a moment. I see the slide on screen, but I'm not going to get there quite yet because I have some more plugs I want to make, and that is this is an election year, so I'm not putting this on a plug-in for people to come and vote for the people on the call. What I am saying though is that our EAC application process runs with our trustee elections. So in the upcoming weeks, on our EAC site, on the YRDSB site, we'll be opening up an opportunity for people to complete applications to apply for the next term on EAC. I can tell you this has been a truly rewarding experience for me, and we're on to something special. We've gone through some kinks over the past few years, and I think we're at a point where we know what we need to do differently. We're learning from our opportunities, and we're going to be having an exciting next few years, to the extent that I'm working with this team. We're going to be really working hard, and I know that under Lois's leadership, we're really looking forward to finding ways to engage our community in different ways, to pull in different voices and really focus on issues that are important, and then tie those to board metrics that are tied to equity and inclusivity. And that's something that we haven't been doing a stellar job of in the past, but we've been getting better and better and better at progressively. And the next 4 years are going to be even better. So to the extent that you are from the public and you're watching this right now, or you're watching a recording later on and you're interested in EAC, please, please, please consider applying. Visit our site and complete those applications. Principal Michelle Godfrey, what application roughly be? We're looking at May 15th-ish. What are we looking at from a timeline perspective? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I believe it was either May 11th or May 15th. So we'll have it up and running for you. It will be there. And we're also going to make sure that it is advertised across our social media platforms, on the board website. So it'll be lots of information out there for you.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. With that, team, thank you all very, very much for being here. I'm going to move with a motion to adjourn if there are no objections. Okay. I'm hearing none, so we'll adjourn by common consent. Thank you all very, very much for being here. And May 11th. We're looking at May 11th. We'll have the applications up. Thank you all very much for being here. Meeting adjourned. Have a lovely, lovely evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.